please.
Hey, they have a thing in here for the flags. Were we supposed to have done something with that?
That's something that the
Okay.
mayor wanted.
Okay.
I
I need to
really
talk to
know
him about
why
that.
we were
Okay,
doing
we'll do that later. Okay, it's 5 o'clock, everybody. It's May the 29th. We're gonna open up Budget and Finance. To open the meeting, we've taken the roll in the attendance. And before we approve the agenda on under 8A, we're gonna put the sheriff down for his budget. And with that being said, if I'll
I'll
get
make
a motion to approve the agenda after that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as
Second.
modified.
Okay, got a motion by Hirschman, second by Jones. Any discussion, any added? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then the minutes are on the back of your packet. And after you've looked over those, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Is that an extra one there?
Anybody else want to make that motion? 'Cause I've already-
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by
I'll second it.
Stubblefield, second by Hirschman. Any discussion, additions, or deletions? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Okay. Go on, Bill. Okay, there was nobody signed up for public comments, so we'll pass that on. Budget amendments is the county budgets,
I don't have any.
and she's gonna hand them out real quick.
I don't
None?
have any.
Oh, okay, sorry. None, no county
None.
budget. School budget amendments.
None.
Not this week. Thank you.
We don't have any A's. We don't have any of those.
Thank you.
Go back to that one.
I figured there's some coming.
It's Ted coming here. What do I have one?
Yes, ma'am.
I have several, so there are, I think, 7 or 8 in the packet. So I'm going to start with Budget Amendment 141, 2025-13. We have 2 state grants, the Innovative School Models Grant and the State Education Preschool Grant. These are state grants, and we're just amending those grants to clean up some salary lines and benefits lines for the end of the year. This budget amendment does not affect fund balance, just some moves back and forth between benefit lines
Okay.
and supplies.
So you're moving from grant to grant, or,
Just within the grants, I'm moving from different from
Okay.
just cleaning up some benefit lines and salary lines.
yes, ma'am.
And this budget amendment was approved by the state already, so it just has to go through the whole process because it's a state grant.
Just sit over here.
Okay.
thought that was somebody's assigned seat.
And it's yours right now.
Okay, next one.
Okay, you want me to do them all together?
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll just-
141, 2025, 14. This is, the board have approved our SPED department to digitize all of their records, because we have to keep SPED records forever. So our room's getting really full, and so this is to start the process. So this budget, there wasn't funding in the line to do this because it wasn't part of the original budget. So this is to take care of, to start that project. So this is the funds to start that project. 141, 2025, 15. The board approved to pay our IT director for his additional time he spends recording their meetings and putting them online. So this number is high. It's just an estimate based on the number of hours he has right now. So we will pay him for his extra time at the end of the school year. So this budget amendment takes care of that. There wasn't money in his salary line, so I had to find it within the budget to take care of it. And then, 14 and 15 do not affect fund balance. If y'all have questions, just stop me. I'll answer anything you have. 141, 2025, 16. We received a new literacy grant for our academic coaches. So this is to bring the funds into our budget and to appropriate the line that to spend for the materials. Does not affect fund balance. 141, 2025, 17. This is just some normal moves within the budget, cleaning up lines for a grant, a pre-K grant that we gotten, some sped contract services. We needed some additional money in that line. Crossing guard for the high school. We needed to adjust that line. Some committee fees, committee fees for the board. Been having a lot of meetings lately. Career ladder lines, salary lines, medical, and vision. So this is just normal moves between the budget. Does not affect fund balance. 141-2025-18. This is our summer school grant. We just received it. It's the same amount we received last year. This is a state requirement that we have summer school, and so they fund all of it. They fund the transportation and the teachers and the aides and all the services that are provided to the students during the summer. And this is a new grant that we get every year, so it's not currently in our budget, and so this budget amendment is to bring that into our budget. And it does not affect fund balance. 141-2025-19. We received some additional revenue from our test scores from last year. And so we are going to use some of that funding to do some instructional projects. So if you look at the bottom, we're going to purchase some workbooks for our elementary schools for ELA support. We're going to help pay our student certifications at CTE. Provide some NIET support, which is a new program that we just started at some of the elementary schools. So we're going to be able to expand that for ELA. We did some trainings with a secondary for de-escalation. We provided some certified instructional training to our teachers, some letters training to our teachers, and then ACT, we're paying for a program called ACT Mastery Prep. And we're going to provide training for that. So this is current revenue that we have in our budget. We're just going to use it. And this is just, I think we received around $290,000. So this is just a start of what we're going to do. We're going to use the rest of the funds in the next school year to try to expand and do some more instructional things. And this does not affect fund balance. And then 141-2025-20. We had some funding set aside for some athletic light improvements at all of our athletic fields. The board set aside some funding to do that. So we're starting to work on putting in, taking down the old light poles and putting in, I've lost my word. Not the bulbs, but the LEDs. Thank you. So we've worked with our, so far we've worked with our architecture company, and they're drawing up plans for that. And so that project is starting. And then we also set aside some restricted funds to work on our track because we can't currently hold a track meet. So we're put some money back into a restricted fund to be able to do that. So we're starting to work on those things. So eventually we can hold a track meet at our facility. This budget amendment does affect fund balance, but it affects our assigned fund balance. And if you look at the bottom, it reduces our assigned restricted fund balance to 8.3, and then but it does not affect our unassigned, which is still at 12.3. And that
lowering it by 69,000.
So yeah, that's just the beginning of the two projects. The light project was, at the time, was going to be pretty extensive. So this is just a start on the drawings and all of that. So.
Anybody, any questions on any of them?
Is the amendment number 18, is that the total cost for the summer program?
So yes, ma'am, we get total funding, so we won't pay anything out of our general school budget. It pays for the transportation for the kids to get back and forth, and for K-8. This is just for K-8, and then we do pay a little bit for 9 through 12 for credit recovery, but the majority of it is for K through 8, and we don't have to use general funds, and we probably this number's high, we hardly ever use the whole amount because we have a limited number of kids that come to summer school.
Anybody else? Questions?
I got one. On 15,
Okay,
who's the supervisor and director on this?
that's Mr. Damewood, Randy Damewood.
Okay.
If no more questions, I entertain a motion to approve 13 through 20.
I'll make, no, go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve all the amendments.
Motion by Stubblefield,
I'll second.
second by Hirschman. Any more discussion? All those in favor by aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next up is the TIF grant, or the TIF proposal.
Do you need a copy? Do you need a copy? Do you want a copy?
Excellent. I thought I was third, so this is a pleasure to be up here. Second, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, greetings. Good evening. My name's Winston Brooks. I'm the director for the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation, and it's a pleasure standing here before you tonight and talk about a great partnership and talk about the other side of the budget, revenue. So we're here tonight to discuss a project that's called Summerlin, as we refer to it. And but I first want to introduce, we have some guests that came with us tonight. So the developer of Summerlin is Chris Rudd, Kirsten Hobday. We have Betsy Knotts with us, my vice chairman, Dave Bond, and the city administrator, Jason Quick. So most of you know me a little bit. Some of you may not know me at all, but again, it's a pleasure to be here tonight to discuss this project. And first of all, the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Board was stood up about 12 years ago as an industrial authority to work in cooperation with all of Coffee County and to play to the strengths of Tullahoma, because Tullahoma is a little unique in the fact that we don't have large swaths of industrial land. So we work in other ways to help provide economic development and revenue for Coffee County. So I want to just give you an overview of this project, kind of how this financing works. It's pretty simple, and and then kind of dive into the details and make sure that when you walk out of here tonight, you guys understand how this works and what the benefits are to the county. So what problem are we solving? So we are solving the lack of housing in Coffee County. I think everyone can agree that there's not enough housing. And so in 2020, Tullahoma had a study, and just in Tullahoma alone, we needed, they were estimating we needed 1,000 units for the coming growth. So this is going to get us to maybe where we need to be. We also, in Tullahoma, don't have any commercial space. So this is also going to provide us commercial space and 900 units of housing. It's going to be 336 units of apartments. They call it a mixed-use development because it's got different types of housing, different types of, and commercial real estate. So it's going to be apartments, townhomes, single-family homes. And as you can see on the board over here, this is located on the north part of Highway 41A going towards Shelbyville. So it's, Tullahoma has plenty of utility capability. I mean, if there's going to be a place in Coffee County to build it, this is it, because we got utility capacity. It's on a major highway, and it's going to be a catalyst to bring up, so develop the rest of that land on 41A, create more sales tax, more property tax. So why should we care? So this is going to be generating a significant amount of new property and sales tax revenue that the county will retain. It's going to have housing that will support our growth and also the workforce that will be coming in here over the next couple of years. And it's also, one of the benefits is that the county will not have to provide as many services as the city of Tullahoma, right? So this is going to be kind of all revenue generation for the county with not as many services as you might have to provide in other parts of the county, right? Because we've got fire, we got police, we got public works, and we also have garbage there, right? So it's not going to be a huge tax expense on the county. We'll have to have a little sheriff out there maybe an ambulance, but not much. And then if we don't act, what's at risk, okay? So that's why we are here, and all of these things on the above and others probably are at risk. So the way that this came again, I mentioned that my organization is an industrial authority. And so one of those authorities that we have are the ability to do incentives that are authorized by state code. One of those is called tax increment financing. And it's a pretty simple way to finance development. It's used very commonly all across the country. Coffee County has reaped the benefits of one that was done through my organization a few years back for Northgate Mall. And Mariana can attest to the fact that the county has seen a lot of sales tax from that. So this will be a similar type of a deal. And that one is almost about to pay off. It's going to pay off ahead of time. So the developer approached my board and put in an application to build this development. And then it's called a planned mixed-use development. And so they came and they actually had the property rezoned. It's 200 acres. The TIF will help finance the public infrastructure of the mixed-use Summerlin development that includes approximately 50,000 square feet of retail commercial space, 350 single-family homes, 300 townhomes, and 320 multifamily homes. And so that went through the City of Tullahoma's board back in October of 9th, 2023. Since that time, now this has been vetted through many steps. So, yes, sir.
You're not on camera.
Mhm.
Our county trustee
Okay.
always does this.
All right, where do we want to get over here?
Move this over.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can just talk over here maybe. Am I on camera now?
You will be. No, you're not blocking.
Okay.
You need to be seen as well. as
Okay,
heard.
well, am I good?
This is delayed, so you're.
Oh, okay,
good
okay,
now. Go
excellent.
ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that, Dennis. All right, where was I? So this has been vetted, very many steps. So the first step was our board required the developer to create an economic development impact plan. And that economic development impact plan, I don't know if you all have seen a copy of it, but it goes over the actually, that's not it. I've got a copy of it, no doubt. But it's an extensive plan that looks at the economic impact of this project over 20 years. How that's going to, construction jobs, new jobs, sales tax, property tax, and figures all that out. And these are where the numbers are coming from as we get to that. They've also gone through a vetting process of the application review committee that was made up of city officials, finance directors, and my board. And we also, this is, like I said, authorized under state law, and so we've got the top attorneys working on this that are well-known for doing these type of financing deals. So let's talk a little bit more about, where's my little chart? I did want to just talk for a second before we get into the details about how a TIF works. And so what is tax increment financing? And it's a public financing method used by local governments to promote economic development. It enables local governments to fund infrastructure, and that's important because this deal only funds infrastructure that's defined by the law: roads, sewer, water. That's all it's going to, right? And this is all spelled out in the agreement and the resolution that we're asking you guys to approve. Enables local governments to fund infrastructure improvements and redevelopment projects without raising taxes by leveraging the future increase in property tax revenues resulting from the project's success. So TIFs work, they establish a TIF district, which we've done by law, and that's the TIF district is that area you see there on the board. The property value is frozen, okay? So from 2024 now, the county will retain all the property taxes that it gets today, which is about $5,000. Then we implement the improvements, so the developer will go in and build the improvements, the infrastructure, the houses, and so when it goes back and is reassessed, it's not going to be assessed at a higher amount than the $5,000, than whatever the $5,000 would create. So it's going to be at a higher, and that's where the increment comes from. And you can see it on that chart. So you have your base property line, and that yellow portion there, that's the development, and that's where the tax increment is captured. What happens then, and what this agreement is that the developer then pays the full amount of the taxes, okay? So this is not a grant, we're not giving away anything, it's a reimbursement. So the tax is paid in full, and the agreement is that the county then will turn around and provide a portion of the taxes back to the developer to fund the development. At the end of the term, the county then will retain the full taxes. And that's the crux of how this works. So let's go back and look a little bit at some of the details on, and I apologize, things got printed on double-sided here, so I'm a little discombobulated. Okay, here we go. So if we get the developer's application request a TIF of up to $18.4 million. So the total amount of the TIF will never go above $18.4 million plus interest, with a 20-year payback to finance identified and eligible infrastructure and other public costs. In accordance with state law, the TADC board directed the developers to conduct the economic impact plan and analysis of the project. The resulting EIP has been studied and approved by the TADC board, the city of Tullahoma's Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The projected public benefits will result in the building of needed commercial space and residential units, including apartments and townhomes. The county will retain 40% of the new property tax generated by the project, amounting to actually the county amount is $12.4 million. So the county will be retaining $12.4 million over 20 years, and after this is done, it's going to create an additional $1.5 million a year. So new revenue to put into infrastructure that the county needs. Additional benefits to the county, the project is expected to promote economic development in this area by providing retail, residential, recreational opportunities that will draw residents and visitors to the city and the county. It's anticipated that the project will become a catalyst for further development of the surrounding areas. The project will create a significant number of construction jobs during construction of the project, and a description of the project benefits of the project is more fully set forth in the attached summary of the mixed-use development economic impact analysis conducted by the Younger group. And the Younger group is the economist firm that did this, and they're also a well-respected firm across the nation for doing these types of studies. And this is non-recourse funding, okay? So there's no liability to the county. All the liability is on the developer. So there's no risk, and that's by design, and that's by law, and if nothing happens, nothing changes. So that it's all on the developer to perform, so to generate any kind of money that would be used to finance the development. And on that, that's very interesting. I do want to find the, we blew a fuse. It gives me a moment to find my other document I want to look at, and then we'll take questions.
Has this property been annexed into Tullahoma?
It's already in Tullahoma.
It's
Yes, ma'am.
located in the city.
And it's,
I don't know, I think we should pause until we give it a chance. It could be just a recloser might take care of it.
Alan's on backup.
You're still live.
we're still working?
You're still live, just so y'all know.
I guess either our generator kicked in or
Yeah, that part's
Bad
in
in
the
there.
You're just blacked out on camera, but you're still live.
Yeah. Microphone should work hot because they transmit to a different spot.
First step was our board.
oh yeah.
I just need to find, I'm trying to find y'all's the resolution for the county. I apologize. Timmy, won't mind if I use yours, will you? No, you're good. Thanks. So all right, what I want to do is just real quick run through, you have a copy of the resolution that's before you and that we're asking the board to approve. And what this does is it sets forth, the first paragraph is the law that authorizes this. And then it talks about the project area. It talks about, the fourth paragraph is adopting the economic impact plan, which creates TIF revenues. And those TIF revenues are the increment in that from the base taxes until the development creates new taxes. That's the increment, and that's the revenue that is going to be used to develop this. And by the way, all the other sales tax is going to be retained by the county as well. There's no sales tax. And most of the time, when these types of financing deals are done, and there's a lot of them that have been done, the developer asks for 100%. So this is not 100%. You're retaining 40% of those taxes, and that's what this sets forth out here. And it explains that the max amount of the project is 18 million plus interest. Again, and that's all non-recourse funding. There may be an opportunity for the developer. Some of that money will be used to refinance any debt that's taken out to do that, but again, that's non-recourse. The next paragraph asks that the county agree to the agreement to receive the taxes, and then ask Mary Anna's department to pay out the 60% for the development. And so that's kind of what the resolution sets forth, and that's what the agreement is all about, and that's what the economic impact plan has in it in detail. And so there's a lot of detail, but that's kind of the high level. It's a huge investment in the community, and so we're very thankful for Beacon Companies wanting to invest this much money in the county to provide the housing and the commercial space that we need, and also the needed tax revenues. So at that, I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions, or if anybody else wants to make any comments.
I've got a question. I don't know if you can hear. I know you can hear me. You said something about $5,000 is being paid on the property now.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay.
yeah.
So it's generating $5,000 right now per year, and then down second paragraph of the first page you put out, Coffee County will retain 40% of the new property tax generated. It's supposed to projected to be $12,400,000 over the next 20 years, which winds up being about $620,000 a year.
That's okay, great. That's correct. And what happens though is it doesn't all come in at once, right? So
Yeah.
remember that picture, right?
Yeah,
So at the
it's got,
first-
yeah, everything's got to be built before it accrues taxes on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
But all of this TIF money goes back and be for infrastructure only?
So your question is, the developer pays this taxes like he always
Yeah.
does, all of them. The agreement is that you're going to return 60% for him,
60%.
and only for infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay? And that infrastructure then is turned over, dedicated to the city once the thing is completed. The 40% that the county retains is up to you to spend in the way you see fit. And again, remember, it's a reimbursement though. The project has to happen before the money goes back. So if nothing happens, nothing changes.
Devil's advocate here.
Yes, sir.
We are subsidizing this so Tullahoma can then take over the roads and stuff.
So we're subsidizing this, and the infrastructure and the roads will be
go to
dedicated to
Tullahoma
Tullahoma, yes.
Okay.
And, yes. There's also a but-for test in the law, and that but-for test means that but for this financing, the project doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's right.
Anybody questions?
The infrastructure that's to include sewer and all water lines and streets.
Yes, sir. And in fact, it's in the agreement, and it's defined like this. I'll share it with you. But it's streets, it's infrastructure, it's water. I told you I would share it with you here. I need to find it. So let's see. Public infrastructure shall have the publicly owned or privately owned, let's see, what's it? So, I'm sorry, it includes roads, streets, parking lots, facilities or garages, traffic signals, sidewalks, public improvements that are available for public use, utility improvements, stormwater, drainage. And then just the benefits then also include, as I mentioned, just all the other the benefits to the city. But that's the definition of the infrastructure there. So yes, it does include all roads and sewers, water.
How would the developer be paying for all of this prior to receiving the 60% from the county?
So I'm going to take a stab at that, and then I'm going to turn to Chris Rudd about how he's going to pay for the infrastructure up front. But I assume that that's part of the his project is finding investment banks and financing to loan him the money to develop that. So that's why some of this money then will go back in to help service that debt. Is that close?
Close. I just wonder if there's actually, if we get into lien situations, are we guaranteed that the money that Coffee County gives back to the developer, we're not giving it to a lending institution, right? It goes directly to the developer.
That's a good question. So it's a reimbursement grant. So they have to submit the invoices and any debt that would be there. Yeah, and I've got some people. Yeah.
I think I can answer some of your questions. Good evening. My name is Chris Rudd with the Beacon Companies. We are the developer for Summerlin. Excited to be here tonight, so thank you for entertaining us this evening. In answer to your question, so just to back up a little bit with regard to the TIF. What the TIF is, again, as Winston indicated, is a reimbursement for the installation of public utilities, right? So as he mentioned, water, sewer, roads, stoplights, that kind of stuff, that will ultimately be turned over, in this case, to the city of Tullahoma. What Winston was talking about, where there's no risk to the city or to the county, is because we have to pay for all of those expenses first, which is an answer to your question. So how do we pay for those? It'll be a combination of cash and debt on our side that we guarantee. There's no risk to any municipality because we have to pay for it first. And the essence of a TIF is that over a 20-year period, a portion of the property taxes gets reimbursed to us for those public infrastructure developments. Those improvements rather, so water, sewer, that kind of stuff. So that's over a 20-year lifespan. What we are able to do is go borrow that money, a portion of that, after the increment has been created, after the work has been done, the properties have been built. Banks will lend on that because it's a guaranteed source of revenue to the bank, right? Because it's property tax. The buildings have been built already. And the taxes get paid annually. So we can advance, we don't, there's a few different ways to skin the cat from the developer perspective on how to receive that reimbursement. But one way to do it is to get a TIF loan or a bond and advance those monies early on, but yet after the increment has been created. But that is, any sort of financing that would be taken out for that purpose would not be guaranteed by anyone except the developer, except us. We're the only people that guarantee it. There's no guarantee or risk to the county or to the city of Tullahoma.
In the event of a default on that, where does that leave?
It would just nowhere bad, because really the way that works is, again, after the homes and commercial properties have already been built. There really is no risk. I mean, a default on that loan earlier on would only be on the developer side, where if we failed to execute on the project, what would happen? They would come to us, and the bank would come to us and seek to be repaid for any losses that they incurred. The practical reality of that is you don't go get that loan until the increment's been created anyway. So the property taxes are already being generated by virtue of the properties being built. That's the practical side of it, if that makes sense. So it's not a loan or an advance on a project. It's truly a reimbursement, which is why the state legislature approved all of the TIF legislation in the first place, because it's a great way for municipalities to promote development without having to bear the burden of the risk.
Do you have to supply bonds for that to your banks?
Yeah, we will, absolutely.
I figure you would, okay.
Absolutely.
What is the estimated time period for this development?
So it's split between 6 phases of construction. Yeah, so, and that will kick off hopefully this fall, late summer or fall, as soon as we can get all of this approved, we're ready to go. As Winston alluded, we've been hard at this since 2023 and have all of our zoning and other entitlements in hand. So this is sort of the final piece in the wheel there. We're working on civil engineering drawings now, so as that all comes together, we'll be kicking off construction.
And that would begin, you say, maybe by fall?
Yes, ma'am.
And then when complete?
It'll probably be over, I think, 7 or 8 years total. You know, some of that will depend on absorption and what goes on with, you know, the growth of both Coffee County and Tullahoma. We are very optimistic about the growth. I mean, I was a few minutes late today just dealing with traffic getting in here, as you all know. But, you know, we feel like based on our projections, probably 6 to 8 years in that range is what we think. We're excited to have a list of commercial retailers that we've been talking to for the commercial component of this. That's pretty exciting. Well-known names that I think folks will like to see in the community.
One more, this wedge graph that's supplied to us, the yellow part is the increase in the tax revenue that we retain. Is that always on a constant climb, or is that gonna vary with the degree of completion of the development? I mean, you've drawn
Right.
it as a straight line.
As a straight line.
up. Well, it will be.
So Dennis, that's a good question. The increment is only created when development happens, right? So
Right.
it's not gonna go down unless, for some reason, the county assessed it at a lesser value. So I would say that every time it gets assessed, it's gonna go up. So
I'm
it'll
just
continue to
curious.
climb
So
on a
you're
straight
just talking
line.
about steps. It makes
It's more of a
fall here and
step,
then
yeah.
Step up a little bit here and then
Yeah, it steps
up.
up. It's not, yeah.
But
It
in
wouldn't go down.
20 years, that is the life of it. I mean,
That's
that's
it.
set in stone.
Right, and we're hopeful that it will,
Whether it's half completed or 100%,
yes,
correct?
correct.
Okay. And this little gray triangle right here, that meaningless from the creation to your left.
Well, it's just to show that, you know, the property value may
That's
be
just
going
to
up a little
make a
bit over
good
time, right?
wedge out of it.
Yes, sir. Right, because that's just assuming that the property tax is going up a little bit, just probably, you know, but.
Yeah.
There is a chance that it could pay, you know, the project could complete in shorter than 20 years. He could pay off all the money back and, you know, if it goes well. And that's what we're seeing with the Northgate TIF Mall, is that it's paying off faster than 20 years.
20 years is the maximum allowed under the statute.
I'll be 94 years old.
Might still be here in this room.
Anybody else any
Myself.
questions?
Well, but that's the exciting part of this. This will be a great legacy, and it'll be, some of our kids will be living there, and people that are in the finance department will be able to pull back that agreement and pull back all those taxes. So it's a great legacy we're leaving.
Anybody else any questions?
Where are other two
It's a
Tullahoma
lot to-
commissioners?
It's a lot to do.
Young
Lynn's out of town, I
Both
think.
of them are out of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would certainly welcome, as you consider this
Like
over,
digest.
yes, ma'am, please contact myself over the next couple of days. We're looking forward to coming to see you on June 10th and getting this thing kicked off. We'd love to have, this approved. And call me, I'll come to my office anytime. It's the most important project I'm working on.
Well, if we're gonna put it on the June agenda, we need a motion to put it there.
I make a motion to put it on the June agenda.
Got a motion by Stubblefield,
I'm second it.
second by Hirschman. Any discussion? Okay. All's in favor by aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.
That way we can discuss it on the floor. Okay.
Thank you all for coming.
All right, now we get to your little budget. Maybe we'll let Sheriff go? Okay.
Let the sheriff go first.
All right, Sheriff, you ready to rock and roll? Oh.
Hello, sir.
Thank you.
It's your copy.
My book.
They actually have it. They have it.
Oh, okay.
Things made for
Look here. I
short
got my
people
stuff
and
tied.
skinny people.
Well, make sure you brought the
I'm
right.
prepared.
Yeah, make sure I didn't
I'm gonna check this out with the one I got already.
Yeah.
check that against that.
Cheat it, cheat me.
See if you brought
I
your
didn't,
right one.
I didn't deal off the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, did you bring the right one?
And you're wearing short sleeves.
That's right, so I can't have nothing else.
You're still back on it. I didn't.
Yeah, we stayed on.
Stayed on.
Yeah, we stayed on. I don't know what knocked the power, but
Hope ain't somebody up there stuck in the power lines.
I hope, please tell me no.
It was an omen. It was an omen.
It's not bad.
Most of you sitting in here all day.
Oh, I bet.
It's all right.
We just,
Yeah, that was not bonded, that went out of business.
no, we're having
We got
Oh.
another camera in here.
this is a real, fixing that problem.
Okay. All right. Hope Stubblefield.
Where'd he- Are you sweating yet?
You ready to go? You ready? Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's start off with, I would like to give my sincere sympathies to the Jones family.
Thank you.
Mr. Marlin, your
My brother-in-law.
brother-in-law was a fine fellow, and I knew him a very,
time.
very long time.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry about that, Miss Dale.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're here tonight. You've got your packets. If you need a few minutes to go through them and look at some percentages and some numbers, feel free. While you're doing that, I want to address, Chief Watkins and I and Ms. Green have discussed, and there may be something that is statutorily there, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it is or not. Miss Mariana may know, but over in the page with under the jail under 54-210, you got the line item 106, which is deputies, showing 11. Those are the court guards. We would want to know if we have permission or if it could be done to blend them back in under the sheriff's office administration under the 106 line item with those numbers, because for the life of me, of all these years, I've never known why we've had three separate budgets. Everybody's a deputy.
You talking about the court office?
Mm-hmm. Is-
It's always been that way.
Yeah, I know, and
There's
it's,
no reason why.
Yeah,
it
I-
shouldn't be in
okay.
that I know of. It's, just, because
That's,
I
that,
really don't know.
years ago, they
But I
may,
don't know of some statutes where it has to be.
well, if there is a statute, we don't wanna violate that, but it would just, I think it would help us with all of our numbers, because let me give you a little more explanation on it. Is if we're down at the courthouse, myself, Chief Watkins, a detective, a deputy on the road, we all may be at the courthouse working court, but, I know the last meeting, there might have been a little confusion about numbers and stuff, and I just would like to simplify some things and bring all those numbers, because at the end of the day, we got a final line on our budget and with salaries. But if that's something, if y'all need to vote on or talk about or research.
So you're talking about putting 106 and 160 together? Am I saying that right?
Basically, yes,
So
sir.
you
One-
I
just
thought you
adding
meant
that.
take 106 from 54,210 and move it to 106,
E-
54,1.
Either way, I mean, it's whatever y'all think's best. I mean, they're actually gun-toting deputies.
Maybe that's why they,
And-
you know, we used to have to separate that.
Yeah, they're actually gun toters, and I just thought bringing them all the way back to the front to 54, 110, 106.
Okay.
Is that fine with you, Chief?
And that-
Since they are that way, it would.
That's the
even
only reason I could think.
It would blend in more with the sheriff's office side than it would the jail
Jail.
side, because they are gun-toting deputies. And since we do move people that way, then that would help out a lot, if we could just blend those numbers over there.
So you want to just put them as deputies and
Yes, ma'am.
not court officers?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If that's
No,
not gonna be,
fine. I just wanna make
Yeah,
sure.
we could just move it over to the
We-
54, 110, 106
Do that.
deputies, and then
Yeah.
just roll them into there, and that way,
Right.
if we
No, I
could,
just wanna make sure on the first payroll in July that gets done.
right.
At the beginning,
So that could be
at the
done.
beginning,
Yeah.
That could be done pretty.
I don't know
simple.
any reason. That's the thing I think of is they have
Deputies
guns.
or deputies?
I think it makes sense to just add them together.
So that would eliminate 106 line under jail, 54,210.
Right.
and
And
with the,
160.
yeah, with the jail numbers, yeah, I can see that, because of, that's a different classification. And the jail is the jail and the people that work in that building, but technically the folks at the courthouse are,
Yeah, we used to have to do that reporting, you know, to get our true costs
Yeah.
of what, and then they never paid it. But since now it's so high anyway, we don't have to do that anymore, but that's the only reason why I
Okay.
think you have to put it in.
well, like I said, we asked about that, so. Also, I wanna make sure our numbers are matching with yours, Mariana. We currently have 10 employees, and we're scheduled, for 11
right,
there at the courthouse.
At the court.
Or is it 10? It is 10. We were showing 11.
Last year, we started with 11, and we moved one over, which was Lieutenant Mullins, because he's more of a road deputy than he was
He-
over there. He's over our motor pool.
That might have been where
And
their
so
confusion
we
was.
moved him over, and that's where it brought up a question that it might have been on my part when I moved that over. I think I might have misdone some calculations, Mariana, so.
Right.
Because it's 377, but that's technically for 9, what I came up with, and then for 10 would be 414.
I'm gonna say you're 9 right now,
We do 9 right now.
and yes, but you
Yes.
budgeted 10, right?
Yes, because we started with 11, moved one over last budget, and so that would have left us 10 slots, but we only had 9 in there.
Right,
So we still had that open slot. I think I might have miscalculated when I moved Lieutenant Mullins over
oh,
and got it down lower than what it was supposed to be.
right.
Because it's at 377, 396, and I think it's
Yes.
supposed to be at 414, 289
And part of that
to give the
is
10.
we
And then part of
moved
that's for
some
raise
money around
Yes,
because of the overtime, you know, we always have that issue with overtime.
yes, ma'am,
And the corrections officers.
yes.
So that
Yeah,
could have
I think
been
when I
why,
did the initial moving, I think I might have.
yeah, this is the amended budget,
Yes, ma'am.
so we don't have to have all them lines on
Right.
here, but the original had the 400, yes.
Okay, okay, so, okay.
That's
So it's been
why.
amended down.
Right, because we
Okay.
needed
Okay.
it
56
for
to
the
20.
overtime.
You moved that money. The money was there, it's been
Money was
moved.
there.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so that's
can-
It's
why it
been
kinda
moved.
threw me off.
I just, as I've been a pet peeve on other boards in the county about overhiring, I wanted to make sure y'all knew we hadn't overhired.
No,
Okay,
I'm thinking about that.
you
I
look
figured-
in
I figured
the
it too.
actual budget book. It
Well,
does,
that's where I got that, and I thought, well, did I mess up or
no,
something? So,
no, that's why, because, you know, I have to move by a
Right.
budget amendment now,
Sure.
anything
Okay.
that's a salary.
right, okay.
So Chief, do we need, moot
No,
point?
she said we were right.
Okay, so
400.
moot point on 162 and 167 underneath there,
What's that?
the other two items that you've got marked out here. Once, on the 162 under clerical and
Oh,
160.
yeah. So, you know, when we did how we did the payroll budget last year, where
Oh,
you had
okay, I see what
the
you're
chunk of
saying.
money
Yeah.
that, was added to the payrolls to distribute up how we saw fit.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And so, when I got with Mary Ann to find out how it was done, it was, you know, she would take the payrolls, like this one has
Yeah.
3 payrolls in it, and the 8.5% of that, and then it was divided by them based on their salaries. On clerical, it's got 69,052. I came up when we done the, with the monies, 73,193. And then the maintenance personnel at 62,960, 67,204, when you took all that money and divided it between the 3 payrolls.
Would you, the original,
Again,
Clerical was 73,193,
okay,
and maintenance was 67,204.
thank you.
the original budget was 377.
Right.
And
So
the
I think
deputies.
when I moved Lieutenant Mullins over, I think I might have messed up on the calculation.
Okay. But we did have 400 at some point.
Yeah, so.
We just,
yeah.
we just wanted to make sure our numbers matched y'all's
Your
numbers.
so does that need to be 414 too?
No,
And
no,
that-
no. I
We're
went
good,
back and
we're good there.
finished The original
Okay.
is 377.
Okay, so even with the
That was
raises,
the
we're good.
Prior year,
Okay.
we had to do that.
And-
But
and we can-
still had to move
We can
money around.
sidebar about it later on tomorrow or something if we need to, but
Sure.
we just want to make sure if something was voted on, it was
Okay.
there.
Well, you know, the budget is constantly,
Moving.
Changing.
April was up here amending and moving, and so you have to get to a point in time and just,
Stop.
So y'all can work that out. It'll be no problem.
Yeah, but we just want to make y'all,
Make sure-
aware,
making us
while,
aware.
because we don't often get in a room together.
Right.
One other thing before we get into the budget is, the circuit court clerk, Jenny Anthony, and I, have gotten together, and one of my longtime court officers, is gonna go into the jury liaison pool, which is under Jenny Anthony's department. That jury liaison pool is, they handle grand jury, the big jury duties, or if we have a sequestered jury, it's a on-call status position. We've got one person that's working under that right now, but we've always had 2, generally a male and a female, my entire career. And this gentleman is going to leave from full-time court duty to go into that position. She and I got to talking today, and it's 53100, line 199 in the circuit court clerk's budget. But I just wanted to talk, we thought maybe a $5,000 increase to that. And if we need to work something out through my budget to help cover that, I'd be happy to do that. But she may have already presented her budget to you,
she did, but she sent me the same email, and I put
but I
it in.
wanted to make this body aware of that. Just
What
that,
was that item again? that you
it's,
had?
Ms.
Under-
Dow, it's
under
5,
Jenny's.
yeah, it's 53,100-199
Okay,
under the circuit court clerk's budget.
Thank you.
We're just looking, it's generally $15,000 right now.
Add 5.
And we would thought taking it to 20, they're paid by the day. So they look at the court dockets, or if we have a jury trial, they look at it and then call them, their own call status. Both of them are long-time law enforcement in Coffee County, retired. Okay, so that we've talked about that. Is anybody, as they're going through the budget, have anything that just pops right out at them? I'm gonna bring a couple of things up as we can start on page 1 and go page by page through those. On the very front page, under the line item, the overtime line item of 187, you're gonna notice a large increase there. And what that is we budgeted overtime for Bonnaroo in the next couple of weeks. We haven't been doing that because in all the years past, Bonnaroo basically helped reimburse that. This time, we're looking at going into the special fund that has been accruing off of the ticket fund to help cover that. I'm not asking Bonnaroo for anything, and because we're not.
And we're not, you're supposed to go ahead and budget overtime for Bonnaroo, because I don't know that they're going to do that, and I don't do the this is the same thing explained to Alan Lindley.
So, okay, but anyway, I'm not in a contract with Bonnaroo. We're not a sub, we're
not gonna be reimbursed by them.
no, that is correct.
We're going,
Yeah,
we're
and I
with the county.
always- After we did the entertainment fee.
Yeah.
It's not tax, it's a fee.
Fee, I'm sorry, it's a fee. There's no such thing as
So
tax. It's
that'd
fee.
be a budget amendment whenever he has, you're just go ahead and put it in here in the budget.
Yes.
And this is a guesstimate. It may be a lot cheaper.
Already have it in there.
A lot cheaper.
When we do the new
This
budget.
year, we didn't, for this budget we're working on.
Okay, so
But you're
that's
putting it
what
in
we
there
have
for
to
this-
watch.
This is the first
right
time we've
now,
ever done it.
because-
Because last year, we didn't need it, well, right.
Yes,
Because last
right.
year, we worked for Manchester, who got reimbursed from Bonnaroo. This year, we're not.
This time, there's a little different organization of it, if you've seen so to tell you what's happened is we have not been in Bonnaroo working for the last couple of years. The District Attorney General called me to his office one day some months ago, back in about February, and said, look, with all this fentanyl that's going on and with all this stuff that's going on, I need you, the sheriff, and to work with us and my people. We need to be in there with a show of we're here to observe, to detect and deter any drug overdoses, any crime. The way the city works Bonnaroo is completely different than the way we worked it when we had it. And that is their business. So we've let them run with it and tried to get a feel for how they're doing it. Now we're going to mold around that. We're going to be working with the city. We're going to be working with the state of Tennessee. We're going to be working with everybody. It's just that my deputies are not going to be tied up working traffic. We're going to be tied up working law enforcement. So that has in turn allowed a lot of city employees that have never gotten anything out of Bonnaroo an opportunity to go work traffic, to go whatever detail, because Bonnaroo's going to pay for that. Bonnaroo's not going to be paying me. I'm not asking Bonnaroo for nothing. No equipment, nothing. We're taking care of this because we had that fee implemented some years ago. We wanted that fund to grow, and I'm going to try to be as good a steward as I can. I don't want to deplete it because there's more than us, but that's where we're at. That's what's going on. We're in there. The problem is when somebody dies, is it something that we could have done? Could we have caught that beforehand? Unfortunately, I've never known Bonnaroo to have to make those death notices calls. That's me and the district attorney general or somebody now with the police department, and those are some tough calls to make. But with the dangers we have today, it ain't just a little marijuana out there no more, Miss Dow. It's some pretty bad stuff. So we just want to be there, be present, provide good safety, and we want everybody to have a good festival and all that good stuff. So is there any questions on that? Okay.
Frank, we just need to look at that because right now I'm working on amendments.
Uh,
I
I'll
thought
probably give you a
I
ballpark.
thought you were good in my little opinion.
The rest of that on page one is standardized, the social security and withholdings. Going over to page two, we've had a little increase there on line item 307, of the, technology there with telephone fax and the camera systems that we have we have two. And, that's showing a little increase on that. Those are maintenance and contractual items that we have on that. Anything else on that page that any of you may have questions on that we can try to answer?
I have a really good question.
Yes.
What about the leases? Are we,
On the vehicles,
yes.
do you want to wait till we get to the end and we'll have I'm ready for that.
Forget.
I won't, no. We're not on that yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, it's coming. Going over to page 3. Any,
What, 3?
well, the third page, they're not marked, so.
There's the leases right there.
All right, you will go down to line item 451. Under uniforms, you will see new vest replacement. That's bulletproof vest replacement. We're up to replace the bulletproof vest for all the deputies. You're gonna see a large increase in that line item. The deal is we purchase those vests and then the federal grant reimburses us on that. So we should get a large reimbursement on that.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
So I can take the shock and all out of you on that one. Anything else on that page?
So is this for, can I add just a question?
Oh,
Is
absolutely.
this for every one of your deputies have
Yeah.
to be done at one time?
We do it about every 5 years. Is that right?
Okay.
That's about all they last.
Well, that's all they warranty.
you
It
do?
doesn't mean the vest is bad, it's just that the warranty's out on them, and if something
What do you do with the
happens,
old vest?
they keep them, or we use them for target practice, or if you're with me one day and
No,
something
you're
happens,
not
I
shooting
hand
at
you
me.
one.
No, I'm not putting that on.
It's better than nothing.
I'm gonna check the warranty out.
But to be honest with you, Mr. Hirschman, with those vests, we're wearing them all day, and after they've been sweated in
I was
and all,
wondering.
yeah,
I knew.
they get pretty bad.
I'm good. Thank
All
you.
right, moving on to the next page, starting at line item 610. That is the enterprise lease program that Miss Mariana.
Loves.
So I'm in a conversation that yes, the beginning of that deal has been really good for us. It got us vehicles. It got us out of a quagmire. But we're at a point here that we're going to stay continuing in this program, or we're going to get out of this program, and then we need to look at down the road of paying off the program and get back to just us purchasing.
Well, my take on it, it's added a lot of paperwork to my office. And I know, I'm just saying, it's a whole audit schedule I have to do. It's
Yeah.
very tedious.
I thought you would have said it's cost a whole lot of money.
That's a
It
lot
costs
of
me
increase.
money and time, because
Yes.
when Frank knows, him and Brad, we
Yeah.
talked about this.
I'm up for whatever option this body
I
wants
mean,
to
I'm
do.
glad we tried it.
It was great, I think personally, I'm like Mariana, it's lived its course, and we're out of COVID now, and vehicles are running out of our ears around with dealerships unless there's some kind of new federal virus that comes about.
It did get us out of the hole that we were in with the old cars that we had with 200 and almost 300,000 miles.
Yes,
So it did get us out of that. So now if we can just maintain with some type of schedule every year of X number to rotate out to where we're not running them to the point that they have to go to CFC.
and I
We might get some equity out of them on the sale.
I will tell you, this has been for the uniform patrolled deputy sheriffs. This hasn't been for me, investigators, narcotics, admin folks. This vehicle program has been for the hard-working folks that are putting the strain and the fracturing on them day in and day out.
Oh, I get it. I just would like some help on the other end of it, not.
Yeah. We,
You heard that, didn't you?
we generally would like
Shot
to
across
see
the
down the
bow.
road, kind of like school buses, somewhere around 5 vehicles a year. Vehicles have gone, all of you know, if you've done any vehicle shopping, have gone out the roof. I mean, we're hard pressed to spec out a police package vehicle for $55,000 anymore because of all the technology you got to put in them and we run the bare minimum of, we don't have radar units. We've got the cheapest camera you can buy. We run about as cheap as what you can get because we can't afford it. And plus, if something happens and one of them gets rolled or totaled, you've lost it. So that's where we're at with that. Anything else on that page?
You still have a garage, right?
Yes, the garage is a biggie. That's been one of the biggest things in my career. Anything else on that page? That's dealing.
Can I just ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Does your officers have cameras on them?
We do not have
I
body
didn't think
cameras.
you did. Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's
Huh?
some cars, and there's some cars out there that don't. But we're trying to put in-car cameras in, but we do not have body cameras.
Yeah, I like, okay.
I'm like Mariana. If we had those, I'd have to hire 3 people all day
I
long
know.
to deal with all the craziness.
I understand.
Anything else down to 716? Rolling over to the jail. As we discussed about that line item 106, if we could take it out, move it back up there, starting in this new budget with those numbers, that would be great. It would help simplify some things with us and confusion. That's what I like to hear. Anything that's basically the same withholdings and insurance and benefits package there. We'll go on over then to the next page under the jail. We've had a few increases in maintenance agreements. As most of you've probably heard somewhere along the way, we have absolutely had one terrible year for jail medical. And we've gone, knock on fake wood, we've done really good for several years, but we just can't get quality inmates anymore. And
Maintenance-free inmates?
they're like vehicles, and I'm getting some really unhealthy inmates that are costing us a lot of money, and I'm sorry, but our staff is really trying, and I have to say our QCHC staff, Brittany Smith and her people, along with Miss Green, they really work those medical bills, and I'm proud of what they've done with that. But any questions on that? And I'm happy to answer anything you've heard on the street. Anybody that you just a whiff of anything, I want to answer it. Okay, moving on. Other contract medical services, food supplies. So as all of you know, at our homes, bread, milk, and eggs have gone up. Bread, milk, and eggs go up at the jail too. And even though we are a sugar-free, spice-free jail, I want to feed inmates. And you'll hear a lot of gripes and complaints about the inmate food. It's strictly health hospital food. We've not got anybody out there starving to death. We've got folks gaining weight and some folks that need to lose some weight. And they're losing it. So, anything else on that page?
Sugar-free.
Sugar-free? Everything's sugar-free.
It has no taste.
No spices.
It's all bland food.
Yeah, there's no salt, no sugar, no coffee, no Coca-Cola. There's actually no vending machines in the entire building. I had the vending machines took out. So if you want something, if you work there, you better bring it with you. Next page. Prisoner clothing. We didn't do any any increases on that. Of course, the water and sewer and all that's kind of is what it is. We try to keep the leaks and the water meters from running. The jail maintenance and some of the kitchen stuff, we've got a mixer out right now that's gonna cost us about $13,000. And, yeah, this stuff's expensive. And I compared it to the school system, and I think we got it, for once, we may have found a cheaper one than the school system. Moving on over to the next page at line item 302, anything down that direction? Okay, this is under the drug fund, and most of you don't have any questions about the drug fund because that's not coming out of your general fund or the tax coffers, but you're gonna see a large increase at 319, and I'm sure somebody's got a question to ask me why that, and I'm happy to answer it.
Why?
Well, Mayor, thank you for the question. So with our drug fund average, I decided to budget the entire drug fund this time, because we have idle funds that get invested, and I'm really worried. I just don't want my drug fund idle funds to get invested into Bitcoin or some kind of risky something other. So, no money invested, but there's a possibility, so,
Okay, good, 'cause,
yes.
you know, that's been an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, so that's the reason you see an increase, just because it's budgeted there, don't mean we're gonna spend it, but, I just, I wanna make sure it's still here at home.
Okay. Not moved to someplace else.
I want it here at home.
Country?
And,
Another state?
I brought some white paper, and I didn't bring any crayons this time to hand out to anybody, but I didn't know if if we need to do some drawings or something. But,
Can you read the Bible? Read the Bible verse?
any questions, any other questions on that? The fund is still, it still maintains a lot of necessity stuff for the sheriff's office, and, we're thankful for that. All right, going over the second page on that, is some travel stuff. A lot of that's for narcotics folks, if they've got to go out on an investigation or some kind of specialized school. We generally don't get to use a lot of that. And equipment and so forth. It's allowed by law. I'm over to line item 706, under the jail again, contracted services and materials. And then you'll see down there, vehicles, we put an allotment in there, and this time we went up on that allotment. Just because we went up doesn't mean we're gonna do it, but as some of the things have happened out here in the last 3 months, we've had a lot of bad incidents with some really bad people. We're just preparing for the future in case we need it, a little padding. There's 2 more line items on the next page, 358 and 341, no changes.
So what's going on with the registry? We haven't paid in a while, haven't paid.
So, we haven't, so there's a
I didn't see Jennifer.
There's a pending thing,
Chair in front of me.
there's a pending, thing with TBI. So, basically what it boils down to is TBI is not the registering agency. You know, we were getting, $150, I think, and we keep 150, went to TBI. Well, there was something said about, since basically TBI is not registering them, that it should go to the registering agency. So they have not billed and or said they're gonna bill until they kind of figure that out.
So it's all just kind of sitting
Because
there.
they don't register them, they just maintain the database.
And I think that's been for,
Oh, yeah, we've had it
It's
for
been a
about
while.
3 years, yeah.
Fund balance, because
Oh, yeah.
those monies are restricted, by the way.
So, yeah, they haven't sent us a bill, and I haven't heard any word here lately about whether that's even gonna change, that it's gonna just maintain the status quo like it is and just
Okay.
keep rocking like that.
any questions on on any line item here? I didn't submit a request for pay raises. I'm at your leisure. Anything we get's appreciative. My people are very appreciative for whatever this body, can come up with.
Building maintenance, okay, You know what I'm gonna talk about.
Yes, yes, sir.
Where do you have that covered at? I
It's-
asked you
it's
to try
under-
to put something in there because I don't want us to.
I'm sorry. So the building maintenance it'll be under the jail section. And yes, there is, I skipped right over that, and Mr. Hirschman, I'm glad that you brought that up. So, under jail. Let me find that.
Well, normally it's in the county maintenance.
336.
And Rick,
Is it account?
No, he's
336?
talking about for the additional
Oh,
monies that we added in for, to pad for next year for a replacement of a central heating air unit
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of the jail.
Trying to look for the future.
where,
I don't see it.
Oh, we had it in here.
Right? Can we put it on
We
there?
did, we had done submitted before we had this conversation.
It's
Okay.
not, it's not here.
It's not.
Oh,
in
on a
there. It's
budget
only
of-
at 32,000.
Okay, so, well, what line item we were going under?
306.
336
336, okay.
in the jail.
So we may need, and that's what Mr. Hirschman's bringing up, so on 336,
no,
you might,
you're right, Frank.
you might entertain at least 150 to 160,000 increase there, just in case we have a unit go down.
That would be a total replacement unit.
And the game plan is we've backed up a little bit on the big $300,000 project. We may still have to go that way, but we've had a reanalyzation of it. I called everybody in. We had a good meeting, and we've got some pricing coming on some replacement stuff, and we've got some other eyes and ears from Lee Company on it. And so we may be using we may be repairing, replacing some parts instead of doing a great big project. But under that conversation, they said, hey, you probably need to prepare to at least replace one unit within the next 12 months.
Yeah,
So-
because they're 14 years, am I right?
13.
Okay. But they've probably been on the building 14 years.
Oh, they have been on the building
Yeah.
14 years, probably
Yeah.
15.
Yeah,
And I mean,
But
we're
we-
at that threshold.
that's why I asked them to,
Yeah.
to
So
address
add
it.
150 to 160,000 to line 336.
Whatever,
At 150 to 165.
That's just for one big unit.
Okay.
that's just for
Yeah,
one.
three
One.
units were coming in at bid at 360.
330.
Are you trying to do building maintenance? It's 335.
Oh, 335.
Okay.
It's,
So that needs to be a new one in
well,
there
then
then.
what's
Okay, yeah.
336 then?
336 is equipment.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
335.
335
So not
in
that
our
one, yeah,
package.
335's not
So
in here.
how
That
much,
would-
how much do you want to add?
I think you need to add at least 150 minimum.
Yeah.
I would
minimum.
say
To
150 minimum.
335.
I'm with Commissioner Hirschman on that, because 3 was at 330, 340.
Yep.
So that was probably a group price. So if you just ordered one at a time, you're gonna have to order that crane, you're
Yep.
gonna have to order that stuff to get it in, get it out, so probably 150 plus the increase within the next year, that's probably gonna happen, so.
I'd say at least 160.
Problem, we just have to worry about that part. And if we have something in there, it's better than it biting me in the tail later.
It is nice though, if you set a crane up, you can, once it's set up,
We can leave it there?
well, they can do 2 or 3 picks without having to collapse. But one pick to do one unit,
It's gonna be expensive.
I
you
know.
kind of get a little, I don't know if anybody knows anything about crane service around here, but maybe we can find somebody.
I wouldn't know any.
Everybody's shooting shots across your bow there.
I want to ask you something about medical. I'm sure you've probably discussed it or thought about it, but those patients with expensive medical bills, is there any way you could put an ankle monitor on them, send them home?
Well, yeah, that is a good question, and yes, we would love to do that, but I'm not allowed to do that unless the courts
Right,
allow it,
right.
or working with the district attorney general. A lot of times, if it's that bad, the judges work really well on us on furloughs, but I guess to clarify, these have been some folks that's been charged with some serious
Right,
felonies,
right.
and it is what it is. They're gonna be there.
Tim, we've had one that done that, and they paid at their own expense.
Yeah.
to get the ankle monitor.
We-
After the make and bond, that was the condition, and they paid for it
Okay.
themselves and
We-
got it out.
we-
They were in pretty bad health.
We had an
Okay.
inmate some months ago that needed 2 legs amputated. He got passed around from jail to jail to jail, and he'd been a truck driver, and he would just get out, we'd put him on a furlough, and he'd go do something stupid to get brought back. And we, you know, I cannot force him to get his legs cut off, and, you know, and I'm like, sir, you're going to die. And he said, if you cut my legs off, I'll never drive a truck again. So, we have that, anyway. But we really look at those, and that's
Yeah, I
a
figured you
good, that
have.
is a good point, and we try to do that. Anything else? I promise I wasn't gonna be long-winded tonight.
Your time's up.
We need to-
Good,
No.
thank you,
Okay, thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right,
All right.
last thing down's Mariana with the 3, 5, and 7.
Let me get organized. First, here's the highway fund for your budget books, as well as debt service. You should have a tab for both of them. Can you sort through them and figure it out? I need to hand them separate. Here's debt service, and there's highway. There's highway.
Highway,
There's debt.
thank you.
I mean, I can pass it all down at once. You can know what's what, I would say by now. Just pass that down to Tim, take that Tim.
There we go.
Service.
So Tim, you have highway fund and debt service, you have to separate
Separated.
Yep,
in your tab.
little bit.
I'm gonna talk about like my grandchild.
Yep. I'm sorry. That's
The
okay.
other Tim,
Tim?
Got it.
I think,
One thing there. Mary, you already
Mayor,
have
you
that?
may already have the highway, but
I've already got it.
here's the debt service.
Debt service.
So the only thing left, and I have to get with Rick, is capital projects. Cause that one's a monster because of all the projects we have going on.
Where's debt service? go?
Right behind
It's
this right
behind
here.
you. You've got a tab.
behind the highway.
You've got a tab.
Oh, the
Yellow
tab's
tab.
way down there.
Mm-hmm.
Got another one for Commissioner Brown.
You didn't get one?
I
I'm
don't have
sorry.
one.
Okay.
Did you get them yours, or what did you need?
What do you need?
Debt service.
What did you give Tim?
I just gave him debt service.
There's five, Tim.
Didn't you not
She
get it
already-
already?
You already
thought
got,
he- yeah,
I already
she-
got that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Should've got both of them.
yeah,
The debt service should
I
have been
already
behind
had
the
yeah.
highway.
highway.
It was
So I
together,
gave him,
yeah.
You gave him
Debt
one?
service wasn't behind the highway. You only had 3 pages of highway. Check it and see
Then
what
it's
you put
behind
in.
it.
Yeah,
Huh?
he's got it.
Debt service should be behind the 3 pages.
Yes, I got it.
Got
So
one.
there's that
You,
one.
so do you need another highway there?
He's covered.
Dennis, do you need another
He's good.
highway?
He's good.
maybe,
You gave-
Another?
Here's the debt.
I'm looking.
I don't know what it is. It's hard.
How many total highway pages?
3.
3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I probably gave you
Six.
the whole packet that I got from highway.
Yeah, you get more information than we get. We got 1,
Evidently.
I gave you everything I had.
2, we got 3.
You probably don't want the rest of it.
No.
Do you need to, you have debt service too? Okay. I'm gonna call
What
it
is that?
Yippee-ki-yay.
So there we go.
for all the other people who
Would
haven't
y'all
got
like a
theirs.
highway or a debt service?
See, Neil,
All right, so, like I said, I just gotta work on capital project with Rick, and then get all the projects we're doing right now and all that. Okay, then the salary worksheets that you asked me to do. So I went ahead and put the highway in here, I don't know if you want it in here, I just went ahead, just sorry.
You're okay.
Pass
You're
that
okay.
to the other Tim.
Thank
Here's
you.
yours.
Got it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, one for the mayor. Thank you.
Okay. So what I did, just made it like a little snapshot, so you wouldn't have all them numbers running together. So the one, the real gray is the 3%. And then the total white is 5, and then the green is 7. So current salaries, by fund, you'll see 101. That does not have the elected officials in it because, you know, they already get 3%. That's what state says that they are
They get.
allowed, that's, so it may look a little low because some of that is been deducted. And then on 116, rural solid waste, that's their current salaries. 118, ambulance fund, their current salaries. And I went ahead and put highway in there, just so the whole county was in there as far as payroll. So I also included, you know, payroll taxes, because whatever you give, you know, that increases
You
your
have to
payroll
pay.
taxes.
Sure.
So that's how it's set up. You got a grand total for the whole county-wide down there at the bottom as far as our part, what we're concerned with. And I think this was just pretty easy to look at.
It is.
It is, I like it.
Look at this one.
With the tax revenue supposedly going up, do any of these fly under the radar of what we projected taxes to go up?
Okay, I have the new property assessments. I'm working on
Okay,
doing
So-
all that.
okay.
I also need to do the estimated.
So this is just for our info right now to think about.
What, there's, I'm going to have it best as I can get for next Thursday,
Okay, the 5th.
what I estimate as the.
Okay,
So we'll get a better picture.
next
Right.
We'll
Thursday.
get a better
No.
picture next Thursday.
Do you
right?
want me to include something in there? I'm gonna back out all the ones that ask for whatever. I'm only gonna put whatever y'all recommend.
Yeah, because if we do it, I think it needs to go across the board.
Then we'll do
It can't be
each.
one asking for 10, one
No.
asking for
No.
6.
No.
It's just gonna be
Whatever we
this.
said, that needs to be
Yeah.
across the board this time.
And everybody,
Yep.
yeah.
Agree.
I thought it worked out pretty good last year when we gave it as a lump sum to the department heads where they could make their judgment on which employees. Some employees might deserve 10, where a new hire might only deserve 6 or 4%. And I thought, for the most part, all the department heads did a pretty good job. That's the way, from what I know, found out.
Okay.
I agree, because when you look at how work evolves and changes in all our offices, we have some employees doing more, or some doing less. So when you just do across the board, I don't think that's really fair and equitable. I like.
And I agree with you, for the most part, it did work, but there were some that didn't follow.
So
There
how
was,
do you stop
there
that?
was one department
I don't
head
know
that
if I
took
knew.
a
I'm
ten
sure do it.
I
percent.
didn't like
Kept
it
it all.
The
Yeah.
head took a 10%,
Yeah, I know.
but
And
we,
this information is already out there because Dennis has reported it, so. Yeah, it was in the news this morning. Yeah.
Where'd you report it from?
the,
So it's out
for
there.
an example,
Your
across the hall in our
employees
codes
know.
enforcement office, like there was 4 employees, and our codes enforcement officer just divided the total 8% lump sum by 4. That gave his lowest paid employee actually a much larger percentage than what he received himself, because they just took the dollar amount divided by 4 and gave each one that. So, like I said, it worked pretty good.
So is it hard to come up with a lump sum for each department, or you just?
It wasn't last year.
No,
No, what I did was I took current salaries,
Mm-hmm.
and then if y'all said you wanted 5%, I took,
they'd been
I added
willing
That's a
5%.
lump sum.
The only one where it gets tricky
We had
is the
some
sheriff's
issue, I had
department,
an issue
because
with one of them that did
we
not.
al-
Okay.
we always have to have this
Okay,
argument.
I just don't wanna add a whole lot
And
more
they're
to
more
you,
upset
because I
me,
know
and
you're buried right
and we
now.
told them, do not do that, and they did it.
That's what gives me a bad taste in my mouth.
Right.
Now, if we could have
Right.
a way, well, we could do that, like he did over here, then I might be for that.
Well, I think what you run into is a department that, they got a new hire, been there 3 months, and then they got somebody that's been there 3 years.
Right.
Of course, we've implemented the longevity
Longevity
pay.
helps that.
That might help offset that, but it's,
Right.
there's a lot to think about. I thought it worked out pretty good last year from all,
did too,
from
because
all reports.
We
It
had
worked
some
pretty good,
serious inequities.
yeah. Cause the
And if those
department
department
heads
heads make it
know
and do it
more.
right, yeah, and
They
if they do
should
it
know
right,
more.
it is an equitable
Right.
way to spread the wealth around.
So just, let me ask you this question then. So if we do that, like we did last year, can a department head of, we'll just say library, can they give temporary employees more? Or not?
Temporary employee.
That's what they choose to do.
I would,
Yeah, I mean, can they, in their budget, you know what I'm saying? We're giving them a certain amount in their
I
budget.
would think that I
on their
would
salaries.
not. They might be able to, but I don't think that they ought to.
Well,
Because
that's,
if you're temporary, you're probably not looking to come back, and we wanna put that money into people who are gonna come back.
yeah, I agree with that. I'm just having some issues with people,
Okay.
some department heads coming back and saying, well, what about our temporary employees? And they don't understand, they're temporary employees. just
They're not
here for a
even
little while.
are they getting, they're not benefits either.
No, they're not.
benefits, so they're
No.
just here for a certain amount of time,
They are.
and then they're passing on.
And
They-
most of them,
Most of them are.
according to the library service lady.
Well, even she
They are
talked about that, yeah, they're
Right,
just
they
here,
are
yeah,
students
some are
and they're,
still.
and she really has stood up for them
Yeah.
because they are returns. They're not just people that are
Yeah.
there for this and that.
do
They
come
have
back
been
every year.
returned for
And they're
years.
Yeah, and they were staying with them.
Yes.
Okay.
I
But
got
his
a,
question was, could she
Could
use
she,
that
though,
money?
use that money?
Well,
and
if you
them
give it
As
to her
she
and spread it
chose.
out, I'm sure
It's
she
a- I mean,
probably
it's in
could.
her budget, right?
Yeah,
If you tell her,
So she could.
I mean, you
They
could
can
put
use it.
stipulations on each one of them maybe, but then you become a micromanager.
right, is it
No.
full-time only or part-time?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Did you figure that full-time only?
Let me see. what-
Yes, that might be what I was wanting to ask you. Is this for
Yeah,
full-time?
if This is, for-
This should be full-time
look.
employees only, right?
Let me look.
Or is it?
I'm not gonna answer that yet.
Okay.
Let me get my spreadsheet.
Or is it?
Or it
Because
might be
I know you're
total
giving me,
salaries,
because
yeah.
you're giving us the current totals for
Oh, here it is.
each group there, so I'm
I
assuming
tried not
that's.
to
Yeah, I
give
know.
each individual department
I'm,
because
I know.
then you start picking stuff apart.
well, I've got a comment that I want everybody to chime in on or let me know what you think. What about give the department head a percentage raise and then get with that lump sum to be spread out between the employees?
So if we,
So you're saying, if she has a department, if she's a department head, you wanna give her like a percentage,
Right,
and then lump the rest of it into the employees?
right.
like a designated, if you say 5%, the department head will get 5%.
Right.
Okay.
and he's saying, so we would do that and designate it
What if
so
we-
that they can't take
Take
more
more.
for themselves.
If we
Right.
lump
Pass it to
5%,
their
yeah,
peeps.
if we lump 5%, then, and we
I get
don't,
it.
that way, if they wanted to take
10,
10 or 12 or whatever, they can take that.
That happened.
that's what he's trying, that's what I think he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that would be
Yeah.
fair.
So you would put the 5 on the department head, because most of them are designated as a
Yeah.
department head. And then the rest would only be for.
Then they have to split
Then
it up
they
the way
would
they
have
Then
say.
they gotta
it.
split the rest of the,
Yeah.
or the 8% or 6%
Whatever.
or 3,
Right,
7, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good.
Well, it should not go without saying that the state of Tennessee mandates a certain percentage pay raise for
Elected.
several elected officials.
Right.
This year it's 3%.
Right.
Well, give 'em a-
So,
give 'em a three
that
pick.
being said,
the
whatever,
elected
if
ones.
they're all getting 3%, then,
Elected one.
Just the elected
that's what I'm saying, the
ones.
elected
Yeah.
ones.
I'm with you.
Then if we're giving 5%, or whatever, if we're gonna do what he's saying, then if they're getting 3, and we're doing 5, then we only give the elected officials that are getting 3% 2 to make it 5. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me.
Yeah, or don't give them
You're
nothing.
getting it, aren't you?
Or just give them the 3.
I know exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm sorry, I was thinking about, the elected by statute.
They're
Yeah,
getting- they're
you don't
getting
give a
theirs.
raise to
No,
the
you won't
elected.
give them another raise.
You're not- yeah,
They're
you're not
already
giving it to the
getting.
So-
Trustee, the register, the
County clerk.
election, the
County clerk.
county clerk, the mayor, the sheriff, they're all
Elected.
dictated.
Yeah,
So they'll get a raise.
they don't
We
get
don't
theirs.
give
They
them
get it
no
from the
more than the
state.
state
So-
requires.
So,
You could,
You're talking
We
about
need-
appointed,
but you don't wanna
right, so we
do
need to
that.
designate where that,
appointed or
the money they get, where
hired.
it goes,
Hired.
That's right.
correct?
On the ones that's department heads that are not elected officials.
The department,
That's
the
what you're
elected
talking about.
officials, right?
Elected officials get an automatic from the state of Tennessee, and right now theirs is gonna be
3%.
3% this year.
And that's by statute.
That's by, we can't do nothing to that, okay? We're talking about
You
department
can give their
heads.
employees the 5.
We're talking
Right.
about,
But you can't give them the 5.
I'm just doing something, I'm just trying to figure out a way
He's
that,
talking about highway people. the
Yeah,
Well,
highway people.
Mariana is a department
there
head,
you go.
Like Mary
okay?
Ann,
Kurt
Yeah.
Gray is a department head. Polly Vaughn is a
yeah, all the
department
department
head.
heads, that's right.
See what I'm saying?
they're just not
But if you're an
elected,
elected
so they
official, you're
could
getting a
get the
3%
5%
already from the
too.
state of Tennessee.
Okay.
Right.
We could say that the department head was gonna get a 3%, and then the rest of that, they're gonna have to give it to their employees.
We could do that, that'd be better.
The ones that are not elected.
Yeah, the non-elected department
Right,
head officials.
that would be fine, yeah, yeah.
I was trying to figure out what I did.
Just a
That'd
thought.
be fair.
Well,
I like that
last year
idea,
we
too.
voted on spending more than we thought we were gonna take in, or are we ahead of the curve on that now? Our revenues caught us back up.
Well,
It's a little early still.
That's next week's topic.
A little early.
All right, that's good.
That's
I'm just,
next week's,
it's kind of.
5 June.
I really wanna take care of our employees, but I
Yes
also
and
want,
no.
I wanna
Yes,
show
I
the
get
young
it.
people that we, the older people, can pay down a little bit of debt too. So I don't wanna I don't wanna run our money out to the end like we did last year. I mean, if there's just one thing that we can drop $100,000 on and say, look, we paid this off early. This is what you're supposed to do.
My sentiments exactly.
There you go.
You're supposed to, you as a citizen yourself should pay down your own debt. We should be taking care of it here too. Even if it's just a drop in the bucket right now, but a drop in the bucket starts filling the bucket up until
Yep.
you've paid your debt off. I was just looking at the
Agreed.
jail. If you look back here at debt service on this stuff, man, on the jail, I won't be here when it's paid off.
Well, luckily we were able to refund that.
Yes, but I mean, we had to build that building, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was just nuts
Well,
of
first-
what we owe.
38 years the way.
Yeah.
Because
Did everybody look at the bottom line? 5% cost nearly $1 million.
Yep.
5%. 1 million extra dollars. So it's something to, the employees up there at the Justice Center, they'd love to have a whole brand new Justice Center. We got it.
Well-
I think we need to start thinking about paying down debt, cause
Yeah.
we're gonna have to borrow a
Bunch
bunch.
of money. Uh-huh.
A bunch.
And if we start and people get reelected and they follow through by our lead, then we've left a good legacy. And I know you have to borrow money. There's gonna be things that Coffee County's gonna have to build. Chad's talking about cars and stuff. Money, if you just, to me, $50 is $50. If we can put $50 down on something this year instead of next year, then we're ahead. If it's $100,000 we can put down on something, the last time I was here, I wanted to pay down the bond, but none of them were callable at the time. If we do that and show the kids, the young people who come after us, that we're good stewards, they will be too. And maybe they'll be tighter than we are.
I do have one we could probably pay off because it's, the interest rate is so low. It's not available for next year, but it's in the general fund. It was for the train.
Okay. I mean, if we just start with one and do that, and then 2 years do another one, at least we're doing more than we did before. That's one thing that Dana's daddy always taught me is if you pay more on your car or your house note than you're supposed to. You don't just skim by on a $400
minimum.
note. Yeah. You pay $800 on it and you get ahead, and that's your money in your pocket later on. And if we teach our kids that economics and stuff,
And
it
it's
starts
something
with
that we
us.
don't need to lose sight of.
no,
We need to
I mean,
keep
we're spending their
focus
money. That's
to
why
pay
I
back.
keep that cartoon of me drawn on my wall. It's my money too.
Payback, yes.
It is my money. I pay taxes here. I should be chinchy.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure people at the bus garage think I'm chinchy. So, but it's our money, and it ought not be wasted frivolously, so, okay.
Part-time is figured in there.
Okay, so
thank
it
you.
is
Okay.
hot. So,
So we're gonna decide something next meeting, correct?
Yes, June the fifth,
Okay.
Thursday.
How would
So,
you do?
but we can still talk about it.
Can I phone a friend? Can I phone in?
Yeah,
phone up.
Can y'all put me on speaker?
we can bring you in on
Your
Google
vote won't
or
count,
Google
you
or
can-
whatever.
I could hear what you're
So I'll
saying
get my
though.
Yeah.
estimates.
That's what
I could
How you
stay
want me to
stuff
do
though,
that?
That's
couldn't
what
I?
I did.
All right, listen to her, cause she's gonna be the one that brings it to us.
Okay, the current proposal that has all kinds of salary increases,
No,
okay, do you want me to just put everything even, or do 5 or 3?
well,
Is
here
everything
we
You've
know,
already
well,
presented
here
all
we
we
know
need to
what,
know,
this
I
is the
think.
three choices that we could have.
You just want me to leave it without any raises, except for the statute?
The mandated
Like,
raises,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
They should be in there, but if you came in here and asked us for 14,
So is that gonna change this number here?
No,
Okay.
no.
Cause
This
you
is-
didn't add none of that, you just
No.
took,
Now, this is current, this
Current.
is
Yeah,
right now.
I'm with
Right.
you.
so, okay.
no, I think you ought to take it all out and zero it all out, and then we'll go from there,
know
because
what I was looking
you
at.
can't give and
Yeah, I
take.
just wanna make sure
Yeah, everybody gets the same, everybody's treated the same. I know, I could come in here and tell you how great my bus drivers are. And the next person come in and tell you how great the ambulance people are. The next person tell you how good the volunteer fire department is. Everybody deserves it if we can afford it.
Okay.
But I also think that the young people deserve us to step up and pay something off and say, hey, look, you're right
I
here.
would say if we did a 3, okay, I would still tie, if you did a 3 as a lump sum per department, and this is just Terry saying this right now. I still agree with Tim, make that department head stuck at 3.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
give themselves,
Yeah.
4
No,
Whatever
I'd
it
say,
is, right?
or 6.
Whatever
like,
that number
this is just
is.
hypothetical talk, we ain't vote
Yeah,
on nothing.
I know.
I agree
3%
with-
for the department head, 5% for the rest to be, I mean, would you do that across the board after that, or would you just let them, divvy out that 5%?
I still think, in my opinion, I
Yeah, I
think
like
the
your-
department heads did a good job last year
For
with
the
what
most
you
of,
did.
for the most of them it
For the
is.
most of 'em.
And I think if we do what we're
We
talking
had
about.
one, I can
we got
only
it
think of
fixed.
one that I thought was
Yeah,
wrong.
but if we do that, I think we have that fixed.
Right. I think so too.
No, it's
So
just-
you wanna do 3, and then whatever percentage left across the board?
It's, I've got us one statement, if you did 1%, to be fair to department heads, and I think it ought to be 1%, either use 3 for everybody or 5 for everybody. But whatever you do, if we do, we gotta wait on the numbers,
Yeah.
you know.
Right,
She's
right,
not,
right,
this- tonight's not the
To see
night to
what we
make this
can
decision.
But we're just talking.
And
we
if
ain't
I'm not
voting on it.
mistaken, last year, at some point in the last few months, we came up with a mid-year presentation if department heads had a process. Didn't policy and procedures work on this where if a department
We
head
did.
had a problem,
They
they
could
could
come
come
to-
in mid-year to
We
get
did.
raises?
And that's, yes.
You know, there might
We
be a
even
chance
have
if
a
we
committee
do.
for that.
If
We
you
do.
did the 3%, then in 6 months,
care of
reevaluate.
that.
Yeah, we talked about a committee for that. I don't know
Yeah.
if
We
we got
took
one.
care
We
of
have
that.
one.
We got one now?
We have a
Yes.
committee for that.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right.
There's a 3-person committee and no one's ever used it yet.
I think nobody knows, 'cause
Yeah, I know, it probably needs to be.
That means
made-
they're not attending the meeting, or
There
they're
you
not
go.
watching it on,
There you
on,
Well, we need to advertise it though, and that is a avenue
didn't-
for them.
I, you're on that committee.
Yeah, you got nominated, don't it?
You did.
The only time you'll
Try
ever
to
be
be here
involved
every
in that
night.
committee is whenever they come to us about.
Should,
Um,
yes, should a department head decide whatever the given
I don't
raise
care to know
is,
it, but I
whatever
can
that is, anytime after the first of the year, they can come forward. If they have an employee that they think is really going over and above, they can come and ask to be heard before that committee and say, I
Correct.
wanna give mine another 2% or whatever. They
So-
can.
So Dennis, what you're saying
are
is
on it.
a percentage for the
You are on it, Minnie.
department head.
Should be consistent between them and their employees.
Well, a percent,
Whatever.
well,
That's what
we
I'm-
need to divvy out the percentage for the department head and the percentage for the employee, what's under them would be a lump. You gonna lump it?
Yeah, to
Let
let
them
them
spread it
decide,
themselves.
their
Spread it.
discretion,
Okay, well, I agree.
Yes.
their discretion.
Yeah.
Because they know who's putting out, who's there on time every
Sure
day,
they do.
who's calling
Sure
out
they
all the
do.
time. They
We
know
need
who the
to,
best ones are.
That's who
The only thing we need to do is look at
hold
figures and
All
come
right,
up
so
with
you've
that
told us,
percentage.
They
you've
gotta
told us
take
what
care
you're
of
gonna
their
bring.
people.
I did.
She's told us what she's bringing, June the 5th, next Thursday, 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Any more discussion? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Is that good?